Hello and welcome to the Nikon Creators Hour. I'm your host, Mike Corrado. I've been with Nikon for almost 36 years and taking pictures for close to 41 years. And we've been bringing you these Creator Hour interviews with some epic photographers talking about their defining images. And today we have with us from Louisiana, Mr. Damian Jones of Damian Jones Photography. How are you, Damian?
Good, good. Great to be here. Pleasure to meet everyone. Thank you.
So good to see you. I know you guys had some crazy weather going through your town through the last week or so. It's kind of created a bit of chaos on top of the pandemic. But of course, I always love to open these interviews and finding out how you are, how's your family, how have you been through the pandemic?
Everything is good as of now. One of the fortunate ones. I'm in extreme Southwest Louisiana, Lafayette. The weather passed pretty bad, but fortunately, me and my family in the surrounding area is okay. So I just want to say prayers and hope everything gets better for the ones that had a rougher time than I did.
Yeah, amen to that for everybody going through rough times right now. I have seen your work. I love the portrait work you're doing. I believe you are a generalist in photography. You like to be available to shoot any kind of photography, but we'll talk a little bit about your past and history. But tell me about that first time you picked up a camera and then maybe that moment when you realized photography was going to be a big part of your life.
So cliche. I think I went to Best Buy, of course, picked up a random camera. I actually brought back my first three cameras, not knowing to half press the shutter. I thought something was wrong with the camera, right? At that time, maybe reading the instruction manual will help a little bit. So you started reading and learning and understanding. At that time, there was a wealth of information over the internet. Kind of got lost in it and put the camera away for like a year. Seen it one day, and I hate to give up. I'm not a person that gives up, and picked it up and never looked back since. Photography is an art, something I'm passionate about. It's more therapeutic than anything else for me, and to see pictures come to life is a phenomenal thing for me. So that's how I really got started. Never thought in a million years it would be me. Never imagined it, never seen it be here. If anybody's remember something I said about this interview, anything is possible. Anything you could dream of is possible. That's basically it as far as how I got started.
I love that, and thank you for that kind of, intro of yourself. I mean, on your website or your Instagram page, it says you lose yourself in photography, but at the same time, you find yourself in photography. What does that mean to you?
It is a form of relaxation. If you look at emotion, emotions are energies. That's all it is at the end of the day. What you do with that energy determines right or wrong. If you take that emotion and put into something positive, as far as art in general, it doesn't have to be photography. It could be baking, it could be cooking, it could be writing. That is the creative thought process. And for negative energy to come out, it's never too late. Let's turn that negative energy into something positive today. And that's my motto every day.
I love that. I absolutely love that because it speaks to your passion. It speaks to, like you said, anybody in any world of what they're doing can create that opportunity to go with the positive. And so well said. Are you self-taught as a photographer from there when you learned, you said you don't quit? Did you teach yourself? Did you go to school? Talk a little bit about who inspires you in photography too while you're at it.
Okay, everything is self-taught. Everything is getting up every day and trying to learn one new thing. That's it. One of my biggest people I admire is Lee Jeffries. That's why I'm so heavy on the dramatic black and white. Lee Jeffries' work touched my soul. I knew at that point in time, this is what I want to do. No doubt about it, hands down, full steam ahead at this point. Because a picture in itself is a two-dimensional object, right? But to make it a three-dimensional object, you have to have certain things that not everybody can see. and to make a picture tell a story. I love when I do a black and white, and people want to see more. They want to know that person's name. They want to know their character. Everybody has a story, no matter who it is. We all have stories, a past, a future, and I just want to have people look at my work and feel the way I feel about Lee work, like, wow, I have to see more. And you see a person's life through their face. I'm so cliche. I'll say cliche things this whole hour. The eyes are the gateway to the soul.
But those cliche things are things that I think affect other people exactly the same way you. And I always tell the story about my father in his darkroom, and that's where I got the bug for photography. I've heard that story a million times from different people who have shared that same experience, that they walked through in a darkroom and they fell in love with the process of this image, coming off a white sheet of paper in a red lit or orange lit room. And it's pretty phenomenal. So what I'd love to do is open up your pictures now, take us a little bit on the journey of the early part of your career. And then I'd love to dig deep into the portraits and the soul of the people that you photograph. And I know we're going to end with a great experience that just happened recently with someone at the Smithsonian. So let me take control here, and we will start this program and get your first image up, wedding full screen. Talk about this. You and I have mentioned your photojournalistic style to approaching a wedding. Many people do that. But talk about what this picture means to you and how it started your career.
Okay, with this particular picture, as a wedding photographer, a lot of times you see the same angles all the time. I just happened to look back while I was down the aisle, and there's a balcony above me, right? So I'm like, how cool would it be to shoot a picture from the balcony looking down? That's not a normal view. That's actually happening in real time. So where guests of the wedding, when they seen this picture, it was like, wow, not knowing this is a moment. I look at life in general as a movie. I'm inspired by everything. I could drive along the road. I could be walking in my house. Life is like a real life movie. I don't have to pay to get in. It's happening around me at all times, every day. So for something like this, I want to capture the moment of not only the wedding itself, but the people that took their time out of their schedule to participate in an amazing event like this. And for something like this, is more photojournalism at this point. One of my favorite weddings pictures I've ever took, as far as the composition, I'm sorry, and just the overall feel of
it. Do you still shoot weddings today? I mean, will you do that as part of your repertoire? You don't want to be really defined as anything other than a photographer, right?
Yes, sir. With the pandemic, it's kind of hard to shoot weddings right now.
Well, good point. And to those people out there that are in the wedding business, we certainly, recognize some of the challenges going on right now, and trying to even get back into it as we get back into somewhat of a different type of normal society. But continue for sure.
Yes, I would definitely shoot weddings. It's something I started with. It's a part of my growth. It's like a tree root, right? It's a part of in there. Even though I have other roots, I will still always go back to what made me at that point in time. And I believe like everything works in tandem, right? We have a slide coming later on to where I have a beautiful bride in a beautiful dress. White, as a photographer, is one of the hardest things to shoot because white absorbs light. So as far as the details in the dress, you still want to catch details in the dress. So some of the black and white work I do, I can really use experiences from shooting a black and white work with the details in the eyes and everything to catch the beautiful sequence in her dress, for example. So I believe everything works in tandem. It's a building block.
Gotcha. And speaking of the picture, might as well bring it up. Absolutely. Yeah. So now people can see what you're talking about with detail. Talk about this bride. Who is this, and why did you add this to your selects? It must mean something.
Yes, this is Miss Farron Roy. She actually has a book out called The Mark. Um, Awesome young lady. The whole family, her side of the family, her husband's side of the family is amazing people. Um, she actually had a photographer, and people go who they go with. And when she seen my work, she was like, "Look, we'll pay you for your wedding, but we want dates." Ironically, the photographer, I know him personally. We talked about it, and it is what it is. Um, she is a very amazing person. Like I said, Emily is very amazing. As far as her, when when I first got contacted earlier, this was the person I was talking about that had the book deal. So for me to be able to shoot her book cover was an amazing event. Um, you never know what's going to happen. You always put your best foot forward.
Hmm.
You always watch what you say on social media. Somebody's always looking at you. So for her to contact me for the book and give the reviews we got on the book was surreal to me. It was like, wow, like I'm self-taught. You don't, you have to have confidence in yourself. But once the confidence you have in yourself is validated in some kind of way, it opens up the whole world to you. And for something like this wedding dress, this beautiful bride, this beautiful day, actually had we actually had a storm that rolled in like 15 minutes later, and it poured down. So that this is the calm before the storm. So this bridal was like 30 minutes long, and it's some of the most phenomenal pictures I've ever taken a day in my life. You had to drop everything. You just had to shoot. Just forget everything and shoot. So I love this picture.
It's a great feeling when you're that emotionally connected to images. And
Oh
it's
yeah.
funny, I know exactly what you're talking about because the mother of a 6-year-old who passed away last
Hmm.
November just came out with a book on her journey. And of
Hmm.
course, an image of mine's on the cover, and that emotion connection to that. I feel that passion within you right now
Yes,
of
sir.
how much you love this moment and how special it was to you. So thank you for sharing that. But you do a little bit of everything, like we said. Nice, beautiful portrait of a child. What's
Yes,
going
sir.
on here?
With children that age, I see a, I've noticed a lot of photographers try to pose them. The cutest things they do at that age is the memories we want to catch. And I remember this, we was trying to do the cake smash, the cliche cake smash, and it just wasn't working. And the mom was kind of getting a little flustered at this point. I'm like, look, be his natural self. Just let him be his, can you hear me?
Yep.
Let him be his natural self. So he started crawling and walking around and whatever he wanted to do. But this one particularly, I love the eye contact with the camera. That perfect moment. We only have what 1/8,000th of a second to catch that perfect moment, and that was it right there. So I love the eye contact. Something like this, the more time goes by, that's the more this picture will mean to the client.
Absolutely. Right. It's a record of or a document in a way of a certain time within a child's life, and certainly a beautiful portrait. So I kind of shamefully admit I started off as a department store portrait photographer, where, like you said, everybody's sitting in a certain place. It's posed. It's so hard to do, and parents didn't want their kids crying. I think crying children are the best photos to make, and we do the holiday photos here with Santa Claus, and I wait for that crying child with Santa Claus because it makes for an impactful moment, and maybe something that you'll laugh at 30 years down the road. But a beautiful portrait. Do you do a lot of children's portraits?
Yes, sir. I actually do. I love working with kids. I love being a father. Right. My oldest is 20. He's in college. My daughter's 18. So senior year. My youngest is 12 on 13. I wish with everything I had, they were still that age. That's when we enjoyed each other before cell phones and licenses and cars and everything. That's when I enjoy them. So I love working with kids. I love just the overall moment. I love life.
period. That's the greatest gift, the joy of life. So things like this means something to me. Tremendous.
When you look, let's look at a little bit of the technical.
Mhm.
A portrait like this, can you talk about what lens you're going to go after and what lens you're going to use?
Yeah, I actually shot this with my 70 to 200, right? If you notice, the background is compressed. I love the bokeh. I love the soft background. This is actually 2.8. It was actually a technical hurdle I had to overcome, not shooting with such a soft background, because we all fall into habits and patterns and everything. But for something like this, it's actually a white wall at a corner, and there's bushes to the right of it, right? And I knew going into it, I wanted that background compressed. I wanted to give a dramatic scene to it. So as far as my focal length, my shutter speed and my aperture 2.8, shutter speed 160. That's all. I remember everything. I'm sorry, I got a good memory.
Yeah.
160. I try to go between 160 and 250, no flash. I kind of want a little movement to show life, but not freeze it hard like 1/1000th of a second. For some reason in my mind, I could edit better like that. If any advice I want to give any photographer out there that's watching this, when you start shooting, you shoot with the end in mind. You don't just randomly think what's going to happen. Let it happen. When you plan to shoot with the client from the first day, you shoot at that moment. You start at that moment with the end in mind. What do you want the final product to look like? And whatever vision you have in your head, you want to see it on a computer screen. And it's a building process. It's a building process. It's a building process. It might not happen that time, but take the lessons you learned from that particular shoot and incorporate them in your next shoot. As far as inspiration, and that's something I recently learned, especially with this picture. I think every photographer kind of plateaus, you can say. Like when you first get your camera, every third shoot is your best shoot you ever did. Oh my God, it's your greatest work, right? But as your skills develop, those moments are few and far in between. Sometimes you got to stop and go back and look at your early work and see how much growth you have done. You see what I'm saying? In that time frame. I felt myself in a rut for a long time. Like, wow, like, why am I not improving? Sometimes you just got to stop and smell the roses. Look how far you came. Mm-hmm. So your skills become more refined to where not every fit shoot is going to be the greatest picture you ever seen, and you want to print it, you want to put it on your wall. Sometimes you just got to sit back and look and be like, you know what? I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not that person anymore, and just have fun with it.
Yeah, I've loved this journey. Like I said, I've been doing it over 41 years. Pictures since I'm 15, and that's, again, people out there listen, because it's a learning process. I think when you get the fundamentals down, you know, those fundamentals will never leave you, and then you got to play, you got to experiment. A lot of times I go in with a pre-notion of what I want to shoot, you know, for something, but then the happy accidents, we call them, that happen along the way are just a great thing, because that is what teaches you. That's what enlightens you. And of the masters that I followed, like a Joe McNally and others that teach you it's okay to fail. Right? Because you have many frames to work with, and not every frame is going to work. So I love the way you have put that and brought that to us. This is a great, I'm being inspired, because when I get out of here, I want to go out and make some pictures. You're inspiring me. Wow. So weddings, portraits, you know, some of this detail work that you're doing, zoom lenses, 7200. Talk a little bit about what's happening here.
This is actually a senior shoot, senior pictures, that time of the year, right? And it's cool to talk to mom and dad, but sometimes you got to talk to the students. Like, what do you want? She's like, I'm really a shy person. And I'm like, okay, just do it off camera. And she loved the picture. I'm lucky because this is actually our family property right here. Just to say I could do something in the comfort of your own yard, for example. I love this picture. I love the look. Um, we're from Louisiana, so country living is the way to go, right? Um, she said she didn't want nothing too city-ish. Just something, a nice summer day, and just have fun with it. Beautiful model, beautiful young lady. I actually went to school with her father. Um, Me and her father played sports together for years, a lot of years. So to say that I can photograph his daughter's senior pictures, that's a blessing in itself. To live that long of a life and still be in good health and good condition, to do something like this is just amazing for me. I enjoy. I really, really enjoy. Um, I just like it. That's all I can say.
So when someone comes to you like this, friend or client, and they want to pick pictures, talk to me about how you end up at this location. Do you do some homework? What are you thinking about
Yeah.
when it comes to light? Are you like you said, you talk to the student or you talk to the person, you get a little background on them. I think it's so important when you're photographing
Mhm.
a person to know who they are and what gets them going. What are the things that you can highlight, and as you said before, everybody's got a story, how you tell their story. Talk about how you construct a shoot like this.
We went for this particular one. She had a couple of outfits. So once she showed me the outfit she wanted to wear, I kind of seen where would this look good at. The straw hat, the blue jean onesie outfit. I don't know what to call it, but um, perfect country situation. I seen grass. I seen picnics. I seen just this fun, vibrant time. Um, we actually have another one where she has like a picnic basket, and it's like a celebration of life. Like we're at the end of the journey. So it's not the destination, but it's a high point along the journey. Sometimes let's just stop and smell the roses. Talking to your clients is very important. That's a keynote. Um, she wanted something fun. Um, like I said, I love the picture. Just seeing it. Sometimes you have, as an artist, whatever art you're into, trust your instincts. That is the biggest thing. Trust your instincts. We all have certain senses that sometimes you might not listen to, for example,
Right.
but sometimes listen to those and just go with it.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Those of you tuning in, we are with Damian Jones here of Damian Jones Photography out of Louisiana. If you're just tuning in, after this interview, Damian will go on Nikon USA's Instagram page and do me an AMA. Do an AMA. I never knew what AMA was until all this pandemic stuff, but that stands for Ask Me Anything. And so Damian will be answering questions. So just know that that will be coming up. Now you start to talk about those gritty portraits you had mentioned early on, and we're going to get into a series of portraits and then the black and whites, you've been doing of people. Talk about this project, talk about what you're doing here, and let's start with this. This is a beautiful photo. I could be staring into this guy's eyes for a long time and trying to understand what's in his soul.
This is my favorite genre of photography. Like my personality might change now. Right? Everybody has a story. Once again, society has certain labels on things. So to take a picture of a beautiful woman like we just seen, that's kind of easy, right? But when you take something that society says is cast out, it's not this, it's not that, and make people look, I want people to feel these kind of pictures. This guy was a guy in front of Walmart with his sign just like this. I randomly went to Walmart. I seen him. I ran back home, got my camera. We talked. This particular gentleman, I could not give him money. Just the fact that I sat down and talked to him and recognized he's a person, a human being, an individual. Like he said, the fact that I acknowledged that he's alive meant the world to him. Awesome man. I cannot say enough good things about him. I learned, we actually talked for like 2 hours. The shoot itself took 15 minutes. That's it. But to sit down and talk and where you're from, I have family, but I don't want to ask them. I have pride. I am a person. I'm a human being. I don't want to be a detriment to anybody else. For anybody, anywhere in the world, to stand up with a sign that says hungry, we've all been hungry before. For a man to do something like that, it's heartbreaking for me as a human being, as an individual. It puts life into perspective, right? We all have things we want. What about the things we do have already? There's always somebody that wish they could be in our position. So I don't care if it's a glass of water, a bottle of water. I'm thankful for it, because some people's floor, your floor, is some people, if I'm saying it the right way, your ceiling is some people's floor. They wish they was in the position that you was in. I'm sorry that my demeanor just changed, but this is decorated in my house. I have pictures of black and whites going down my hall, and it makes me enjoy every moment of life. And anytime I could help, I help. I used to put them up. People I knew that was in a particular place, the same time, at the same place, like a shelter or whatever, I put them up on my website. They had selling my website, and I had to go back and give them the money. The whole pot. Didn't take a dollar. 2 people are no longer on the streets anymore. I don't know if it's because of what I did. I like to think so. But just the fact that one lady I shot, I went to the homeless shelter, and the worker's like, she's not here anymore. She got herself clean. Her family came get her. Perfect. Thank you. You know, it costs us absolutely nothing to be nice to someone. That's free.
That is such a great point. I have to remind myself of that. Now, I think I'm a nice guy every once in a while. But now this has become the focus of a project for you. Like this is like one of the biggest things that you're working on. We're about to see more pictures of the homeless. So talk a little bit about how you take something like this. I don't know if this was the first picture you ever took in the project, or you said it's your favorite, but when does it click to you that, oh my God, I've got this personal project. I need to do more of this. I need to photograph more of the homeless and help out.
Photography for me is therapeutic. If I'm happy, I shoot. If I'm sad, I shoot. Today, after we get done with this interview, I promise I'm going to shoot. Like, no doubt about it, right? Mm-hmm. So for things like this, it's random. It's not planned. I love the part of it not being planned. This is actually 2 o'clock in the afternoon, for example. What I do is, of course, as far as the technical side, you go ahead and you lower your ISO 64, right? Go ahead and open up your aperture to where you barely got a faint picture of him, and then you come back and pop him with a flash. That's basically it. Mm-hmm. So it's not a black wall. I have another one coming up later on that's actually daytime. You can actually tell the technical differences. But for something like this, it actually sets the mood for it. You actually want to see more of it. Now we're doing this as far as technical, you can see the catch lights in his eyes with the flash look real good. It actually brings his eyes out a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And very hard as far as the eyes and the details. If you look at it, my focal point is right between the bridge of his nose right there. So where everything is sharp, but if you notice real good, it falls off. But I want it like that on purpose to draw you into the picture. Because you're going to look at his nose and you're going to look at his eyes. Once you get around the eyes, you're going to look at his mouth. You're going to look at his beard. You want to see details tremendously. I'm sorry, my mood changed. I can see it myself that these are the pictures I'm.
No, I love that. That's why we're here. And I love the fact that the background goes to black, because it lets you focus on those brown eyes. And that's where you're drawn in. And exactly like you just say, I kind of then go up to the eyebrows, and then I start to roll around. I see the texture in the beard, and it's just it's really well done. And so this project continues for you. Yes. You're photographing more people.
Yes.
Certainly looking to help them out, which is an amazing thing to do. Thank you for that.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Talk about some of these people we're about to see as we move forward in this project.
Um, he's actually not from Louisiana. He wasn't born out here. I try to, especially with him, a name is a name, but a person is a person. Um, he told me his name, and I was writing notes down. And when I got home editing the picture, I threw it all away. The fact that he's a person is all I care about. Unknown. Um, if you look at my early part of my career, I've always did put work out and got tremendous reviews about it. But I myself was unknown. People actually did contact me over Facebook or Instagram. Oh my God, you put these amazing pictures on your story, your timeline, but nobody knows where it comes from. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of me doing it. You see what I'm saying? Like this mystery part about it at the time, which I thought was the coolest thing ever. But now that the project is getting more momentum and, you actually could help people out. You could actually make a change or a difference in people's lives. Now somebody has to understand who the artist is. I have to get more information about the people. Like actually, what shelter do you stay at? Do you have a sister? Does she have a phone number? Can I contact her? Can I email her? Hey, I shot with your brother today. I know y'all are strange or haven't talked for X amount of years. This is the project we got going on. This is what I'm doing. I don't know what happened. I don't know. All I'm saying is, do I have permission to do this? From you, from him. Let everybody get on the same page. And just, if the world is a better place, right? I actually was listening to Marvin's Gaye, What's Going On, while I was editing this, right? And I blacked out. And when I came to, this is the final product I had. Once your mind goes into another realm, I blacked out. I have one that's going to come up later on. I was physically crying at the end of the edit, and I was like, "Wow,
That's so amazing." Our producer would go nuts if I started singing some Marvin Gaye right now. What's going on? But it's funny because when I do rock concerts, I edit photos while listening to the music of that band because I just left the experience. I have to turn around pictures real quick, but I run their music, so it's playing in the background, which kind of inspires the edit a little bit. But have you ever worked with somebody that didn't want to be photographed? I mean, do you have that challenge?
Oh yes, you get that all the time. It's an art in itself to walk up to somebody, a random stranger, right, that doesn't know you from a can of paint, and ask them to shoot. I never walk up with my camera first. That's rule number one. I never walk up with my camera first. Hello, how you doing? It's for everybody. Man, it's a beautiful day, man. It's good weather out here, whatever. So where you from? Whatever. And you just strike up this random conversation. And in the midst of it, you kind of mention, hey, I'm a photographer, and let's take this guy for example. I loved his eyes. And it's kind of awkward, and it was an awkward moment, like, man, you have pretty eyes. And the guy kind of looked at me like, what? Like, wait.
Interesting approach, but yeah, I can see where someone will go, huh?
I mean, you don't know. And once I stopped, but it got his attention. The only thing I was trying to do at that time was get his attention. That's it. And when I stopped and explained to him, look, I'm a photographer. Of course, I pull out my phone. This is my work. And once you introduce yourself, you get a certain vibe of a person and show them the work, he was more than happy just to sit down here. And he's like, what you want me to do? I'm like, smoke a cigarette. The same thing he was doing the last 20 minutes we've been talking is fine. Not everybody will want to get photographed. That's point blank. Please respect. If you want to get into this genre of it, please respect them like they're human beings. They're not the cliche apple on the table here. You don't have to ask the apple to shoot, but you have to respect that person as a human being and just have fun. At the end of the day, they're a human being. They have feelings. They have emotions. Respect them. That's it. And some might say no. I've had people that say no, literally tell me no. and see me a couple of times again. Like, you know what, man, I was in a bad mood that day, but you were so nice and you were so polite. I'll be here tomorrow. And we did amazing work at the time.
Yeah, this is so amazing because I interviewed Pulitzer Prize winning photographer John White, and he made a statement that I will live with, that I will use. I mean, his moniker is Keep in Flight, but he said his camera is a tool that allows you to give somebody somebodyness, give them identity, give them, I guess, that somebodyness, make them somebody. And you do that so well with these photos. And I love hearing these stories about how you're connecting. So, again, it's not just a walk up, shoot a picture and be disrespectful. It's learn the person, get to know them, talk with them, come back a couple of times. And I just think that's amazing. And you talked earlier about that sort of hard grit, black and white, that approach that you're taking. Talk a little bit about, and then get into this portrait, but do you shoot in black and white in camera? Do you shoot in the monochrome mode, or do you shoot in color convert? What's your process here to get to the black and white? Are you using any filtering, things like that?
Basically Lightroom and Photoshop. In light to this particular picture right here, this guy is actually my cousin.
What a face! What a beautiful face!
Yeah. This one is in my house. Like, I want his whole set, one picture of the whole set in every room of my house, hands down. Everything works in detail, like we mentioned earlier, right? So if you notice things like the sweat on his nose.
Saw it.
I was on my way to a bridal shoot, and of course the bride was running late, was new, right? So I had a little extra time to get some work done. I believe in pre-shooting. You gotta warm up. The greatest basketball player doesn't just jump on the court and play basketball. He has to warm up. And I went to the store and he was there, and he's actually my cousin. And we stopped. And I'm like, you mind if I photograph you right quick? And he was like, no, go ahead. And I was nervous. For some reason, I was nervous. And he stopped and looked at me. He was like, look, you got it. Don't be nervous, nothing. If you notice, this is a little different from the previous homeless guy. This is actually no flash at all. This is actually natural light. White background, white wall, 50 millimeter lens. That's one of my favorite lenses. It's a little nifty 50. That's a good walk around lens. That's a good lens to have on an airplane. That's a good lens to walk around the city with, urban area, wherever. I love my little nifty 50. And for this particular picture here, it tells a story. Like, hands down, the reviews I got on this picture, for example, was tremendous. He recently died a couple of months back. Right? And this is the picture that was submitted to Nikon as far as the 20 inspiring. Not this particular picture, but one of them. Get back to the unknown. He's actually my cousin. And there's actually a picture that's 3 years old, I want to say. So for his funeral, they couldn't find a picture of him. So when I talked to his sister, her son said, Ma, don't worry about it. I have this great picture of him. Don't worry about it. And of course, with the COVID, they had to cremate the body and everything, yada, yada. But they wanted a memorial picture. So when he walked in with a print of my picture, people was like, wow, who did this? And I never said nothing about it. I just love to sit back and just watch the reactions and be judged without bias. I think one of the most awkward situations I had was I had an art walk and I had pictures up. And when they found out I was the artist, they started asking me, well, why did you take it like that? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? And it kind of made me feel awkward at that point. In my mind, I'm like, if they have to ask certain questions, maybe I didn't do a good enough job. Because as an artist, you're going to look at yourself first, like maybe you didn't do something right. So that's why I kind of withdrew myself. I'm by nature introverted. So I kind of withdrew myself from the process of it. But when stuff like this comes out, it's like, wow, you have to stand.
It's 10 hours.
You have to stand behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe is an amazing guy. Like I said, he died a couple of months back. He was actually a veteran. He was in the Army, went to Korea. So when I was talking with his sister, to say his pictures are seen all over the world right now, again, it's like, wow. And amazing guy. Like he's one of the people that you meet and you have a conversation with him and you walk away a better person, hands down.
Beautiful, beautifully done. And again, that's why we're here to talk about the backstories behind your defining images. So thank you for sharing all that. We're going to roll through some of the other portraits you have. Who is this beautiful person?
Same guy, Joe. Same person. A different angle. That's why it's so important to learn the rules. Same guy, different angle. It's so important to learn the rules because every now and again, you gotta know when to break them. You see what I'm saying? At a focal length of 50 millimeters, a side angle at a certain distance, a front angle with a closer distance, the same person, but you'll never could tell. And again, the details along his eyes, his beard, his lip, the dreads. Every person has a story. You could see life.
And in service of that. I mean, that's the beauty of all this. You know, you're in service for these people.
Yeah.
And as he has passed, you're telling his story.
Yes.
Which is, I mean, it's just so beautifully done. So you mentioned that you use Lightroom to do your editing. So are you really working hard the contrast aspect of this? I mean, how are you approaching it in Lightroom? Or is this really more of just a contrast boost and leaving it as is?
A little bit of contrast boost. It's a workflow. I get questions all the time about, how do you do your black and white, right? I seen this awesome black and white portrait of Morgan Freeman, right? Everybody watching on YouTube. That process of it, I don't go through all that. You have to remember, sometimes less is more, right?
Sure.
So with this, I wanted to highlight the sweat. I wanted to highlight his beard. I wanted to highlight the wrinkles in his face. But a lot of parts of it, it's not even touched. I truly believe in getting as much right in camera at shoot time as I possibly can. So your details, you don't have to mess with the clarity too much. You don't have to sharpen it too much. You see what I'm saying? You want a good product before you get in camera, before you go to post-process. Even if you gotta, hey, can I do it again right quick? And adjust your light one time. Move it back 2 feet. First of all, it saves you time at the computer because we're photographers. We want to shoot. We don't want to spend 8 hours behind a computer. We want to spend time in the field. We want to mingle with people. So go ahead and get as much right in camera first. Like I said, it's a workflow. I need to come up with a better way of explaining it. But for now, photographers that call me, or ask me, or email me, is like, how does a fish swim? How does a bird fly? I really can't tell you. I zone out.
Understood.
Wow.
Go with me on these. This is I believe this is one of the last two that we have submitted. Can I throw out one tip though? Because I love black and white and tonality. I found one little trick is going into selective color.
Okay.
Go into the black channel, and if you tweak the black just a little to add black, that's how I'm grabbing that extra contrast. But I love what you're doing here with black and white. I mean, I think I'm kind of learning through you right now to go back and try a few different things. But this is an important one, right? You've just shot this series recently. Talk about the man, talk about how you met him, and talk about the portrait you've made.
Okay, his name is actually Melman Charlemagne, right? He's actually an artist in the Smithsonian Institute of Art. I was so inspired by the first interview and the first contact to open up my email and see Nikon. Wow, are you serious? And I had this energy. Of course, again, your energy. You have to do something with the energy. I don't stay too far from the wall. So we got in the truck and went to New Orleans and shot all kind of random, amazing pictures. I happened to see him just sitting down, like at a little seat, whatever. So when I walked up to him, of course, no camera, man, how you doing? It's a beautiful day. You enjoying the weather? He looked dead at me and said, you know I'm famous, right? I'm like, wait, what? Wait, what? I mean, that's what a way to open up a conversation, right? And we started just joking. He has this awesome personality. And I'm like, okay, so how are you famous? And he told me, I'm an artist that's in the Smithsonian Institute of Art, right? I'm an artist. I draw with a pen. And he told me his whole story. And I'm sitting there like, wait, what? So I'm like, okay, I'm an artist too. He's like, well, I don't see a pen. I said, well, I do photography. He's like, I don't see a camera. I'm like, oh, I got a camera. Don't worry about that. We just started laughing like two spirits that been on each other. He's like, well, go get your camera and you can take I'm going to let you take a picture of me. I'm like, wow, really? Okay. And we just started talking and I showed him my black and white work before. I'm like, look, it's not going to be your regular black and white picture. We're going to add some flair to it. And when he seen it, he was like, look, you can shoot all you want. To meet somebody that's on that magnitude or that scale of art and the advice he gave me, there's no right and wrong way to do it. There's rules to it, but you have to be creative. You have to let your workflow flow. If anybody want to go look him up on YouTube or Google him, please go on YouTube and see his personality. You're going to laugh. He talks like a Dr. Seuss, right? But it's amazing. Like you're going to laugh. What he says is funny, but you're going to take it with you the rest of the day. And we sat down, talked, and he had this amazing smile, this awesome personality. I knew the pictures would have come out. It was a feeling you got. You know, that one time, like when you first started, racing home to sit down at your computer and edit the pictures, I got that puppy love feeling again, you can say. So I got home and I edited the pictures, and it was amazing. After I've only been doing photography like 5-6 years. That's it. Like I'm still in the infant stages of it. Mm-hmm. And to get that feeling again, it was like, wow, his person, his charisma, again, a nifty 50. Mm-hmm. A lot of people get caught up in the technical. I gotta have this, I gotta have that. No, you don't. A camera is a tool. That's all it is. I have a good pen, sir.
No, I was going to say, did I just hear you right? Say you're only been doing this 5 or 6 years?
That's it.
That's amazing. Because I want to start. What you described in this gentleman is exactly what I see in that photo. So, bravo for that. I mean, that's the impact of this photo is everything you just said. And again, you can't, people out there, I'm inspired. I hope you're inspired as well with this talk with Damian. And so now this is one of the last pictures. This is the last picture we're going to look at, and it's in color.
Yes.
You chose not to go black and white here. Why color? But definitely still another great portrait of this man.
Sometimes it's a click of a button. It's a feeling. First of all, I liked his eyes. His eyes, once again, draw me to the image, right? I like the fact that you could kind of see a little gray stubble because his beard is growing back. Mm-hmm. So when I put it in black and white, it kind of took it away from the dramatic of it, right? Mm-hmm. When I converted it back into color and started noticing his forehead, for example, his hat, the texture of the brick in the background, for example. The fact that he just stuck his tongue out just to make somebody laugh. That's all he did. There's somebody behind me, stuck his tongue out, and he made them laugh. He made somebody else feel good while he's getting photographed by a random photographer. He made somebody else smile. That's a personality bigger than life at that point, right? Like, they was dying laughing. While the reason he has his hand to his throat like that, he actually speaks with a voice box. That's why in all the pictures he has his hands to his throat. But I mean, even with that being said, the color of it, the detail. It's not your normal color. It has like a gold tint to it. And that's how I was feeling. I believe pictures and colors brings a certain feel to a picture. And cliche, Frankie Beverly and Mays, the golden time of the day. The golden time of the day, right at photographer's best hours. Why take what was naturally done and try to over process it too much? It was like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the afternoon, golden hours of the day.
Yeah.
And this is what I came with.
Beautifully done, beautifully said. I mean, everything that you are talking about here, just so powerful, and I can definitely connect with you on this. In fact, I will say there's a gentleman who sits in front of a gas station who I thought about approaching, but I've kind of been afraid to approach, but he's got such amazing character in his face, and like you said, everybody's got a story to tell, and we can't thank you enough for giving us your time, Damian. I know, we've struggled to get this interview together because of the weather that passed in Louisiana, but we made it. We made it through. Your work is so inspiring, and those of you, again, if you didn't catch it, Damian was part of an article we've done about 20 photographers to watch. You've seen some of that stuff here. Go to Damian Jones Photography, and you'll see that on Instagram as well. Again, stick around after this interview because he's going to do an Ask Me Anything. So he'll go to Nikon USA's Instagram page and answer some questions for you guys. But Damian, can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for sharing your pictures and your stories and your defining images.
All right. Thank you all very much, everybody. Just be blessed.
Yes, thank you. And those of you tuning in, again, another great interview with a really cool photographer in Damian Jones. Thank you guys for tuning in. We hope you're inspired to get out there and take pictures. Take them, share them with us, share them with the world. Be positive, as Damian says. Find that positive in life and share it. For Nikon, I am Mike Corrado. We thank you so much for tuning into the Creators Hour, and we'll see you all soon. Be safe.